The agency is the principal governance body for nuclear energy globally, and it is the nucleus around which all the other parts of the nuclear governance system twirl, for the most part. So it's a very important organisation, and in addition it has found itself in all these international crises over the years. So the idea was devised by President Eisenhower in his famous Atoms for Peace speech in 1956, that you would have this agency that would assist countries with peaceful nuclear energy and, as I've said, not therefore lead them on to the bomb, the nuclear weapon. And the idea at the time was a rather naive one, that somehow if you provided countries with this nuclear technology, which was then thought to be very cheap and readily available, then somehow they would be distracted from getting the bomb. And no one had thought quite then how to safeguard this material and stop it getting to weapons hands. Originally the agency had a couple of roles which has since just let completely go. The original idea was the agency would acquire fissile material itself, that countries like the United States and the Soviet Union would give it nuclear material and it would then distribute it amongst those states requiring it. Subject to safeguards, of course, but that never happened. It turned out that the United States and the Soviet Union were willing to give this material directly to countries, so the agency really didn't have to play that middleman role. So that's one way in which it hasn't really fulfilled its function. And also it was not envisaged at that time that this agency would be so critical to international security. No one thought that this little technical body that was set up in Vienna all those years ago would become a key player in a case like the Iraq War, for instance, where the agency was called upon to say whether Iraq still had some nuclear weapons capability, and if it did, the United States was prepared to go to war to get rid of that capability. So suddenly you have this little technical organisation thrust into the international limelight. So that's one way in which it has definitely changed, and many people have now heard of it because they know about nuclear inspections, they know about inspections in North Korea and Iran. So the agency has actually over the years become much more important than we ever envisaged it would be. And it's also become politicised, because you can imagine these issues are very dear to member states' heart. There's security. So of course there are differing views about what the agency should do about certain things. Problems like Iran's non-compliance with its safeguards agreement, for instance. So that invariably injects politics into the situation. Well, these days it has quite a range of functions, some of which are in its statute. The statute is what was negotiated in setting the agency up by a group of countries. And that statute allows the agency to promote peaceful uses of nuclear energy, but also to conduct inspections and carry out other checks to ensure countries aren't acquiring nuclear weapons. But it also concerns itself with nuclear safety. So the possibility that nuclear reactors will explode or nuclear material will otherwise harm human beings or the environment, that's nuclear safety. It also has increasingly got into nuclear security, which is to prevent terrorists and other unauthorised people acquiring materials, stealing them or somehow purloining them in some other way, and then using them either in a nuclear weapon or a radiological weapon. People are very aware of it, it's very important to governments, and it needs to be part of the solution to issues like North Korea, Iraq, Iran, and therefore we need to make it as strong and as well functioning as we possibly can.